It really smells like a public restroom. It smells like a public restroom. You know what? No. Well.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to my podcast. I'm Matthew, and I'll be hosting today's episode on one of the most interesting memes to come out of the past couple of years, the Kombucha Girl meme. To give a bit of context, did you know the audio that just played is the original commentary from a taste test video before it became the Kombucha meme? If you fell out of the loop, no worries. I am here to be your guide and help you understand this viral video, however foreign it may be. Brittany Broski, a now famous social media influencer, started out in the corporate field, but decided to make a video reacting to a popular beverage, kombucha. Her reaction, as you may have been able to tell, was both passionate yet indecisive. The video blew up, and from there got taken to Twitter as a reactionary meme in the classic yes-no format. I personally try to think of it as a kind of let's make a deal format. You see on one side it's, are you going to stick with your decision or choose door number 2? It follows this format with the basic premise of switching back and forth between a healthy and unhealthy decision for the most part. However, it does have many iterations. Anyways, from there, Brittany blew up with fame and decided to ride the Hollywood high to take her to places she could have never dreamed of. Red carpets, celebrity interviews, talk shows, you name it, she's done it. The only question is, how is she able to make something as simple as a meme into such a lavish living? Today, to figure this out, I'll be interviewing fellow friend and social media expert Izzy Taliaferro on her thoughts and opinions. Let's bring her in. Introducing Izzy Tags.
Hello! So happy to be back.
All right. So, first question, Izzy. To start out, what comes to mind when I say the words Kombucha Girl?
I guess it's become such a funny meme over the years. I think memes are so incorporated into our everyday lives. So it's so interesting that it's had that such lasting impact on us.
And do you think you were there from the start? When do you remember hearing about the Kombucha Girl meme?
I don't know why, but I feel I've always known it. But I feel I was also there when it started.
I mean, that's kind of part of it. I think one of the things is it started in COVID times, and I feel that's when, or just before COVID, and I feel that's when our grade almost was getting big into social media in the way we see it now.
That's so interesting. I feel I don't remember the first time I saw it, but I remember seeing the video first, and then it became the meme.
Right. I think I was the same way, where it's interesting because the video was definitely the first thing I saw, if Absolutely. I'm thinking back.
I'd agree, yeah.
Let me pull up some uses of the meme.
Okay. One
of the, main context you'll see is it falls a lot into, health and wellness in a way.
Yeah.
And it becomes doing the, smart, healthy, morally correct decision and then splurging a bit. Mm-hmm. So it's either CrossFit or croissants or children Chipotle. Mm-hmm. So just, could you see yourself using this meme? Anything that resonates with you?
I would definitely say they make me laugh, I think is the first thing that kind of resonates with me. But I'm not a particular avid user of memes, but I really do enjoy memes. And so I think when someone comes up with a really clever meme and just play on words especially, it's so cool to see how creative people can be in these different aspects.
Yeah. I also think, in a sense, I feel we're kind of more now, not meme culture, but I feel we do a lot of watching TikTok, sending TikToks to each other, and I feel it follows a similar joke format. I think this format of joke, or what they're joking about, is something that we send each other to this day.
I would agree, yeah, absolutely.
Now, I mean, you obviously knew about it kind of in reverse in this way of she started out as this meme and now is kind of a big time influencer
I agree with that.
what it what it came from.
Yeah.
So knowing where she's at now, she's kind of surpassed this idea of her being the meme. Now when people think of her, the first thought isn't Kombucha Girl, it's more just her as like her own self.
Or other stuff she does.
Yeah. Looking at all these references, I think of like Alex from Target, Hawk Tua, the Backpack Kid. All these people are people that stayed famous after, but only for their thing. So how do you think she was able to do it?
I think Brittany herself is unique in a couple different aspects. I think one, it boils down to she was right place, right time. I think a lot of people who who maybe have been doing social media or influencing for a while, they kind of got like really famous as COVID kind of happened and everyone kind of shut down and like everyone kind of went online. I think so because she was kind of having a little bit of popularity right before COVID, and then she was really able to grab onto that and continue with that. And I think something that's also really interesting that she's been able to differentiate herself from is where she's been able to move on to other aspects of media that she produces. It's not just, okay, I need to create funny videos that hopefully will go viral. She has like a reliable source that she's consistently using. For example, her podcast, she has guests on, or she's talking about random topics, just whatever it is. Like that's a consistent and like reliable source of like interaction with the audience. I think that's allowed her to gain that other perspective. And then thirdly, she has a college degree, and I think while not having a college degree isn't a bad thing, I think it just like adds to her ability to communicate with the world and her ability to express her thoughts effectively and communicatively. And I would say it's partially why she's been able to stay ahead of someone like Hawk Tua. I would say she was right place, right time, where she was able to get famous off that one thing, and then her background and education allowed her to progress, think of other ideas that could progress her further from that, and use that momentum she got from that meme and create something like her podcast.
And also I think part of it that you just made me think of is, I think part of it is when she was expanding to other media, she didn't label herself as the Kombucha Girl.
That's a good point.
Like, if you think of someone like Hawk Tua, where I think they're starting to get to a place where they could surpass this name, she moved on to a podcast, but the thing is she's labeling her podcast after her viral meme.
Right, yeah.
And it's smart branding, but also at the same time, you're not going to be able to outgrow that brand.
Exactly. And I also think we as a society are so focused on trends and such. An online trend is only going to last so long. So a Hawk Tua trend is only going to last for maybe a month max. You can't continue to capitalize on something that people are tired and like sick of. That's why Brittany has been able to create new content that's original to who she is.
Yeah, and basically, I guess, escaping the idea of riding a trend that kind of brought her to this influencer state. I know there are a good amount of people our age who try and like go after this influencer role. Like I can think of a couple off the top of my head who are posting TikToks, and you can tell when someone's doing it for fun versus when someone's like reaching for followers and like reaching to be like, I'm an influencer. So I was going to say, what do you think this says about social media and how people get famous? Like, do you need to be someone that's like actively looking for it, or is it something as easy as stumbling upon like a taste test kombucha video?
I would say it's honestly both. I think there are people who they've just some examples that I can think of like influencers who are currently famous right now, and they'll talk about their start and how a lot of what they were doing, actually this may be focusing in on like those who find it fun, but a lot of what they're doing was stuff that was a little bit outside of the norm, or maybe they were getting made fun of for it, or like even like their friends that were close to them were making fun of them for it. And so I think that's just created this, when people do that, because everyone obviously starts out by posting videos that either they think people will find interesting or that they themselves find interesting. I think that's the kind of the key differentiator that you're talking about.
Right.
And I think where you're going to get more of an authentic following and a consistent following is people who actually enjoy it. But I think it's going to take longer for that to grow. And then you kind of need one viral video to get you kind of with enough steam to rolling forward, so people realize that your content is authentic and people want to be there. Right. I think the giving people what they want, not really being authentic to themselves as a creator, is when you get that fast, maybe like spurts of following, or just a bunch of views on a video, or a bunch of likes on a video. That creates those initial spurts, but it's not going to get you far, and it's not going to provide you long-term success.
Right. And do you know anyone, like, in your personal experience who has been successful with their social media presence, or who has, like, been able to gain, like, sort of a smaller influencer era?
Yeah, I would say I know. One person is kind of doing her own thing. She's doing what is important to her. She talks about what's important to her, but she's also very into like fashion, which I think is a big important aspect of a lot of girls today who are interested in following along.
Right, creating your own kind of identity on social media.
I would agree. And then this other kid who I know, it's a little bit of a different approach. He's more of just like kind of providing the people what he thinks they want. So I think it's kind of giving that hand in hand. And both of them have seen success. It's just been in like different doses, and just sometimes I feel like sometimes the more giving people what they want can seem more like cringy from an outside perspective.
Right.
Even though it may not be intention to be that way, I guess.
All right. And one last thing I have for you before we go is I just wanted to bring it back to where it all started for Brittany. So we are going to be taste testing kombucha. Right after a meal. So let's see how this goes. Have you ever tried kombucha before? Do you feel like it like deserves the polarizing effect it has?
Yes and yes.
Why so? Like, why do you think it's polarizing?
I think just because it is, I think if you read a little bit too much into what you're drinking, it can be a little bit freaky, and like people get a little bit unnerved in what they're drinking. But I think the benefits that you get from drinking kombucha, I think provides that context that of like that little bit of, okay, yes, we're okay, like it's fine. And then I think kind of the other side of it where it's like not everyone loves the taste of it, I think is also a bit polarizing, because you either love the taste or you don't like the taste.
All right, wait, then let's go for it. Cheers. That crisp.
Woo!
3, 2, 1. Okay, I don't like mine.
That's straight.
Yes, please try a sip of that one. It's trying to be sweet, but then it goes like...
Weird.
Yeah.
I don't mind it.
Okay. I like this one more, because it feels like the flavor's like the same all around.
The ginger is good. Yeah.
All right, well, Izzy, it's been a pleasure and an honor to have you on my podcast episode. Thank you so much for offering some thought-provoking responses.
Of course.
And a pretty spot-on kombucha reaction, too.
Woo! Thank you so much for having me. Good night, everyone. And goodbye.
What a guest, am I right? I'm so glad we were able to unpack how the Kombucha Girl came to be, and even turn ourselves into Kombucha Girls in the process. I love how the focus of the conversation became an analysis of her rise to fame beyond the meme, showing that lives and even livelihoods can be made through something as silly as a meme. I mean, I, just before this, scrolled on social media for not even 5 minutes, and I found her interviewing Paul Mescal, the star of Gladiators 2, for the movie premiere. And then I saw her doing an ad for White Claw where she was flying around LA in a helicopter. So it's safe to say that she has definitely turned lemons into lemonade from kombucha, I guess. Turned kombucha into lemonade. Alright, well, this has been my podcast on the Kombucha Girl meme, and I've been your host, Matthew. Have a good one. Goodbye.
Another one, thank you. Hello, Broski Nation! Hello, Broski Nation. Holy shit! Holy shit! Oh my god! Oh, I'm done. Hello.